T-minus 60 seconds. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5 Foot Viking podcast. Once again, where we get to drink a beer and learn something new. I'm really excited that this is going to be so much fun. My guest tonight is Carlos Guerrero. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Yay! We don't have the studio audience today, but I want to say thank you so much for literally driving over here, spending your Tuesday with me, drinking a beer and literally talking about a lot of life stories that you've gone through. So thank you for being here.
Well, great. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. And I've watched some of your podcasts and they're a lot of fun. And I hope that I can meet your high level of expectations.
Oh, brother.
It's a big bar. It's a high bar. You've done some great shows.
This is awesome though, because we were talking before and here's the thing. Sometimes my guests will come over and they're last minute. They get here really late and we got to sound check and get the video done. But you're definitely an overachiever. So, so you got here way early. So we got to pregame a little bit.
Yeah, which is good.
I'm feeling pretty good right now. So, and then, but also we got a chance to really dive into some of the stories that we're going to talk about. So now that I have a little bit more of a backstory of what we're going to go into, I'm stoked at what's going to happen. So, but before we jump into that, let me just, as always, ladies and gentlemen, you can always visit the 5footviking.com. And it's a landing page where you can check out the Instagram and the Facebook and the YouTube and the Twitter and all the good stuff that is 5 Foot Viking. If you're listening to this, first and foremost, thank you so much for listening on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Anchor, on Google Podcasts. It's pretty cool for me every week to see that I have more listeners in different areas of the world listening in. It's mind blowing to me.
It's amazing. I think it's great. Good for you.
It's very, very cool. So thank you guys. Secondly, definitely want to show you, I know some of you are watching, some of you are listening, but the merchandise will be happening next week. I'm going to be launching with t-shirts and with sweatshirts. I also have some bottle openers that I'll be slanging here and there, but I do have some other stuff in the works. I got a request for some tote bags. So I think I'm going to look into some tote bags. I'm also going to look into some other merchandise.
Yeah. Great logo. Love it.
Thank you very much. It's super. I dig it. It kind of fits, the 5 Foot Viking.
It's like a shield.
It's right up on there. So
I was going to bring my fire axe and helmet just to battle you. Shit. Do a little Viking battle.
So, and also, just so you guys know, tomorrow morning, today's Tuesday, the June 1st. But tomorrow morning, make sure to make your way to the 5 Foot Viking Instagram page. So, I'm going to be launching a giveaway tomorrow. So there's going to be a picture that's going to be up on Instagram. There's a couple rules. It's one of those, you got to follow the page, like it, and tag 3 of your friends. We're going to do a giveaway. It's going to be a raffle type thing, and I'm going to give away a t-shirt. Nice. So I'm just going to have some fun and get out there and see if we can create some engagement, have a good time with that. So that's what we're looking at with the 5 Foot Viking. moving forward.
Well, that might encourage me to get back onto social media.
I think you should.
Swag.
I think social media is a good thing, but on occasion, yeah. Depending on what rabbit hole you're going down. That
no, I used social media a lot in the past.
We'll get into that for sure. So we're going to start off with one of my favorite segments of the podcast, and it's the beer segment. I want some beer. I think I'll have some beer. I fucking love this beer. I'm gonna drink this beer, bitches. I'm telling you, I'm gonna use that until it's like till the wheels fall off. So today's beer of the week is from Brew. St. Foley's Irish Red. It's 5.9%. And I'm actually wearing the t-shirt, and I'm going to turn the time over to Carlos right now because you have a great story behind this beer. If you wouldn't mind sharing with us.
Yes, I would. And let's start with the skull.
Skull.
Yes. St. Foley's Beer. It was recently launched just this last St. Patrick's Day in Glendale. Brewery is there, Brew Yard. And Foley is a former Glendale fire captain who in 2015 came down with ALS. And if you know Foley, his motto is like, today we live.
Yeah.
And he's still fighting a courageous fight. I love the guy. He's a brother to me. We have a lot of guys in the fire, so we're all family to each other. And so we've encouraged Neil and a lot of guys to support him in many ways. And one of them is to do this St. Foley's Day. And Brew Yard was nice enough to make a beer, and they actually make some donations to the Foley's ALS fund.
Oh, wow.
And so they've been very supportive, and we're hoping there's a cure someday for ALS. But in the meantime, we'll drink beers and we'll live for today.
I love that.
And we live on.
Skull. We'll live for today.
So here you go, Neil. It's for you, buddy.
And that's a great beer.
Yeah, I love it.
I got into reds because I got into IPAs for a little bit, but they just a little bit too much of a bite for me anyways, just my own personal take. But when I got into a couple different reds, I'm digging them.
Yeah.
And this is right up there.
Yeah,
I
they
like
go
it.
good with certain meals.
And so if you want to see the
the can looks like a fire truck has a reflective tape on the side. So they did a really good job putting the fire department emblem on there, Excellent. The Maltese cross and some of our fire tools.
Carlos brought me one of the shirts that I get to wear. So I think it's only fair that Carlos gets one of the test pieces of the 5-foot Viking t-shirt. So I hope you're an extra small.
I'm going to I am wearing an extra small. This is my little brother's t-shirt, by the way.
I'm just kidding. It's a medium, but if you need a large or I got you. So, but
I wear medium.
Okay. See, I'm an extra medium because COVID, I gained some weight. So
I actually lost weight during COVID, which is kind of
because you're a badass, dude.
Because I was fat. My wife goes, "Yeah, you lost 10. People say you're thin now because you were fat."
I love this. So we've got a couple people jumping on right here. One of my good friends, Alberto. Love you, buddy. Thank you always for supporting. Hey, Whit and Carlos, Mark Leverton in Colorado. My dad from St. George, always listening. Appreciate you. Alberto, yes, merch. He wants, yes. I love it that you guys are asking for the merch. Cool. I really appreciate the support for the channel. My beautiful wife in the other room, Skull. And I love this. My little sister up in Utah, she goes, Carlos looks so familiar. And I'm gonna say this because I think this is great because it's the reason why Carlos looks so familiar is because we've had a Guerrero on this show before. Which, if you guys remember back to, I think we're on podcast number 22 right now.
Hey, my brother was one of the early.
Yes. So your brother, Javier Guerrero, we did a podcast on real estate, and that your brother,
he's a great guy. I love him.
Love him to death. He's a great. You've known him all of his life, and
I helped raise him.
and so it was really cool to have him on the show. And then, we go way back as well. And one thing that I'm going to say is I want to start this off by, we have so many different stories that we're going to go into and different background and different everything. Actually, you know what?
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I interrupt a lot. And it's my ADD, my undiagnosed personally diagnosed
Yo
ADD.
tambien.
Yo tambien. ADD brothers. So we're going to go back and forth a lot, folks. So just realize we may be bouncing around. But the thing is, I forgot what I was going to say.
Shivani, my sister.
Oh, your sister.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, you look familiar. You really look familiar. And obviously I look like a lot of people, hopefully not the guy that ripped off your stereo. But,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. But I used to, in the fire department, I did a lot of public information officer work, and I was on TV a lot because of emergencies that happen in Southern California, which are quite common. So I did spend a lot of time in front of the camera.
Yeah. Well, that was an aspect that we'll talk about in a little bit, because I know you did a lot of work with communications, a lot of work with other departments, a lot of work with the county, with the city, and a lot of stuff in front of the camera, in front of, like live. And, but you also did you were like a model and stuff. And we'll get into all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Don't tell me.
But we got a few more people here.
I just hope people stick around. I'll just be honored if they do, but obviously.
Marlene, the Guerreros are awesome. Yes, they are. Mr. Schlitt.
Thanks, Marlene.
I appreciate you being here, sir. Hey guys, I'm here checking in, and my dad,
thank you,
always with the cross chatter. Love you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Your dad's cool. You're
one of the coolest
sixth grade teacher.
See, this is the coolest thing. Carlos is a fan of the channel. I love that you have reached out to me and said, man, I've been watching this. I watched this one. I watched that one. It's a great, thank you for the support. And now the fact that you get to support the channel with your experiences.
Yeah. And thank you for catching my hints. I want to be on the show.
Like all the, you're just softballing it in,
hit it. No, but you called me last minute, which is kind of cool. I love that because I'm a last minute kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I became being a firefighter. I felt like I can deal with emergencies. I can deal with if you had me plan a party 2 weeks in advance, I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you tell me hey, there's a party in 10 minutes, what do you need to do? We'll get a list and we'll get it done.
Yeah.
But that's how I work. But thanks for the last minute call.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to be
brother.
Here, so.
It was funny how things just kind of happened that way, and super excited for what we're going to jump into. So let's do this. Let's jump into the banners here. We still have that up. Let's jump into Backstage with Carlos, the 5-foot firefighter. You got the same initials as me. TFF. TFF. No, I have V. TFFF. TFFF.
TFFF.
Okay. TFFF.
Close enough.
Sounds like a plan.
But it's still 5 foot. The 5 foot part is
first and foremost, I remember being a kid and, in the late 70s, early 80s. And, when we were kids, it was always in elementary school, they were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And it was there were so many of those answers. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be an astronaut. You didn't really have a lot of, today, how it's I want to be a YouTuber. That was
an influencer.
We didn't know what that was back then. We had we came from different things. So my first question to you is with your going into your backstage, your how you grew up and stuff, was being a firefighter always a lifelong dream? Were you a first grader and they were what do you want to do? And you're going into school wearing a firefighter helmet and all that stuff. Was that something, or how did your path turn into that?
Well, it's funny. No, it never was. I wanted to be a race car driver.
What?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I wanted to go fast. I didn't want to, I never liked using the brakes.
You're like Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby. Yeah, can we go?
I want to go fast.
I want to go fast. Right.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yes, exactly. Don't look back. Take the mirror off. But, that's why I had 5 speeding tickets and running a red light before I became a fireman. I learned my lessons the hard way. But the reality is, I didn't think about being a firefighter. I thought about being a race car driver.
Okay.
And then I was going to be a flight attendant.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to travel. And I wanted to see girls.
Well, yeah.
And who was a flight attendant? Usually back. It was me, the only male in the class, and 30 girls.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad gig.
No, not at all.
But then I'd never been on a plane either. Because, my parents are awesome. My family's awesome. We grew up in a great family. Not a lot of money, but a lot of dreams.
Yeah.
And I always just the dreams are free. My dad taught me that. So I just
keep dreaming.
I want to travel the world. I want to surf everywhere. I want to be all over. How do I do it? I don't have any money. Well, flight attendants go everywhere. So I jump. But we jump on our first plane ride, and it's a plane ride from hell. And we were all over, turbulence and everything. I go, shit, this is dangerous. I can't do this. I'm going to die. So I became a fireman instead.
Okay.
Well,
because that's safer. Not dangerous.
It's much safer. Right? But that was the worst flight ever. I never had one since like that. But that's what kind of shaped me as I got into the fire department.
Wait, hold on. Let's back up a second.
Yeah.
So, going through school and stuff like that, you graduated high school. Did you graduate?
Yeah, I finally graduated.
Okay.
No, actually, I did pretty good in high school. I was really good, but I started working when there was ROP jobs, and you can work while you're in high school.
Okay.
And then I got a taste of money. I thought, well, I need money to do stuff, right? To travel and do things.
I mean, back then, gas was like 20 cents.
Yeah. And I was riding a moped, so I was getting some good miles per gallon. But the thing is that in the whole time, I started working in the hospital. So at 16 years old, I'm watching traumas come in. I'm watching people I know getting accidents or shot or people stabbed. I'm like, holy crap, look at that knife in that guy.
Wow.
And I'm 16 and I'm watching all these things. And my friends are going to school and partying at night, but I was going to work.
Yeah.
So from that work, I met firefighters who would come in for their trauma stuff. Back in the day, nothing was disposable.
Yeah.
They reused everything.
Yeah.
So like, hey, do you have our neck collar? Do you have our special suit pants?
Yeah.
So I got your stuff. It's right here. It's all bagged and clean and sterilized. Like, holy shit. Nobody ever cleans our stuff up. Why do you, you know what? And I would tag it with Station 19, whatever station squad dropped their stuff off, I'd put their shit there. And I would tell them, here's your stuff. And they're like, you know what? You need to be a fireman. And that's what led me to being a fireman. I thought, well, I was getting frustrated at work because I was very passionate about what I did. And when you have people's lives on the line, now here I am, a kid. I don't know formal training whatsoever. It's all on the job training.
Wow.
But the surgical team saw that I had potential. So they taught me everything I needed to know to be right next to a neurosurgeon who's doing a brain surgery and handing them tools. It's a trip, and I'm a kid.
And you're a child.
Like, huh? but the firemen said, you need to be a fireman. Like, why do I need to be a fireman? So
graduating high school, you just went down that road?
I just stayed in the medical field.
Okay.
Which if somebody wants to be a firefighter, if you want to volunteer at a hospital when you're 16, 17, or 18, it shows you're compassionate. It shows you care about people. And you get a feel for what it's like to be in the trenches. Like my hat's off to all doctors, nurses, and all those first responders that have dealt with COVID and not just COVID, but they've been dealing with this for a long time, for years. But anybody in those type of professions, you're a person who's compassionate. You care about people. And I always had that in me. So no matter what I was going to do, the kind of career that I was going to feel best at is one where I'm giving to others and I'm giving back, because to me, it's like I get more out of it when I give more out.
Absolutely.
And it's a trade-off, and I love it.
Yeah. Because
the more I give, the better I feel.
So how long did you work in the hospital before you said, you know what? I'm going to go out for this firefighter thing?
8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So my first job was in the hospital. I never left. So that showed that I was stable and I was dedicated and I was good at what I did. I became a supervisor early on in my career. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, because a lot of the people, there's obviously supervisors and there's different types of people that run.
No, we're talking about your journey, man. I want to know about it.
And early on, I had these leadership qualities that I wanted to learn everything. I was like a sponge. And that's what I encourage kids. Be a sponge. Whatever you want to get into, be a sponge. When you become a musician like you, be a sponge of your craft. And the more you show and the passion of it, you're going to learn more. You're going to be able to just exude it. Like it's either in you or it's not. Yeah. So if it's in you, run with it, because it'll never feel like you're working.
Okay. What I do have to say is that the only time I feel like I'm working is when I'm setting up my gear.
Yeah.
So I'll play on stage for free, but you got to pay me a grip of money if I got to set up my shit.
Yeah, that's what you get paid for. Yeah. The rest of us is gravy. It's like, it's all gravy, right? I mean, the fun part's playing.
Well, like you said, when you have a passion for something, it's, I know some people say, there's that saying of, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life, which, okay, that's a great saying to say, but bottom line is, when you look through everything, there is definitely work that's involved in everything. But if you do something that you love and you're passionate about, it doesn't feel so much like a cubicle 9 to 5 jail cell. You know, we get to do something that you're passionate about, and you're feeling fulfilled, and you're giving back, and that fulfillment is amazing. And if anybody out there can find something that you're passionate about, and it gives you fulfillment, and you can support yourself and support your family, that's amazing right there. That's a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
You know?
So many times, like in my occupation, I would go as a public information officer. I would go talk to schools, and I would do career days, right? High school career day, and I would tell kids, look, you don't have to be a firefighter. Do what you love, because if you're driving in traffic an hour a day on the 110 to get to a job you don't like,
right?
That starts your day off bad, and it ends it bad, because you have to get home in that same traffic.
Because then you got to drive 2 hours home.
From the shit job you didn't want. But so what I'm saying, I tell people, and it's not always possible, but if you can, nowadays you have to think of people like, well, what's an essential job?
Yeah.
Because COVID-24, and I don't want to talk about COVID too much, but it's reality that COVID-24 might shut down your industry again.
Yeah.
So people have to start thinking like, maybe I want to do something that's,
even like last year, we had to think outside the box. A lot of industries had to think outside the box. And hopefully, I don't want to think too far in the future.
No, let's just stay today.
I'm just happy that we're getting some work now, and people are getting back to. I don't like the term new normal. I don't like that.
I'm over all the cliches already, just because I just want to move forward.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would just tell people, let's just live for today.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees.
Skull.
So we live for today, and then we go from there.
So next thing I wanted to, and now that we're kind of transitioning into this, I wanted to highlight the hiring process. And I think the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because, I don't know much about the fire department hiring process as far as what it was back then versus what it is now, because I know it's completely different. So walk us through, what was your hiring process back in, what are we looking at? Late
1987.
70s?
That's when I was hired. April of 87. You remember back then we had no cell phones, right? You had to use a Thomas guide to get around.
I love that.
And so they, so the fire guy, the paramedic said, you need to be a firefighter. Well, what do I do? They said, well, start taking fire science classes. So I go back to Mount Sac after I left my flight attendant career. Yeah. I bailed on that one. I pulled the ripcord and went down the slide. I'm out, teenagers, But when I left there and I went back to Mount Sac for fire science, in my very first semester, recruiters came by from Glendale. I don't know. Glendale. It's between Burbank, Pasadena, LA City, and LA County. And it's a great, great community. And the reality was like, we need to go to Glendale and see where these guys are going to offer us a job possibly. So the applications are going to be handed out on Monday. Now, back in the day, you actually had to have a physical application, where now you can go online and everything else. You see the difference is now,
but they didn't know what online was.
There was no line.
There was no
the line was long. It wasn't online. It was a long line.
Yeah.
And so everybody stood in this line. So we went, now get this, they're handing out applications on Monday. Thursday evening, my buddies and I, after class at Mount Sac, decide, let's go take a look where Glendale's at. Let's go see where the application is.
Why not?
Let's go check it out. We pull up, there's already 18 guys in line sitting on the sidewalk with their sleeping bags. Going to spend 4 nights to be the first guys in line to get an application.
Wow.
And we all shit our pants. We're like, what? I've never taken a test. I've never been anywhere.
Yeah.
And we just got to Glendale. Okay, here's where you line. Oh shit, there's guys already in line. Like, fuck, this is Thursday.
Wow.
So by Monday, if I show up Monday morning,
you're back in the line. Yeah.
Back line. And they had a limited amount of applications.
Oh my gosh.
So the difference now is back then there was limited amount of applications because they could only handle so much physically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nowadays, they'll take 10,000 applications online.
Yeah, because they can just do everything. Yeah.
Well, and from home, everyone's just going, yeah, that looks interesting. Click. A fireman, how much did it start in pay?
Click.
Love it, right? Repension, I'm in. But what happens is we had to wait. I camped out for 4 days on Glendale.
Oh my gosh. So
I went back home. We grabbed our shit. I told my girlfriend, Halloween's canceled. It's like, we're having a party. I go, no, I'm not. I got to go to Glendale, sit on the sidewalk. I'm like, what? I go, never mind. So she was so accommodating. She was really cool.
Wow.
But I slept on the sidewalk of Glendale for 4 days waiting for an application. We had no idea there was a college right next door. We wake up Friday morning, there's kids with backpacks walking by, and we're like
Oh my God.
disheveled. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So we spent 4 days there. So, but anyway, it was the best investment I ever made in my career.
Absolutely.
So I'm very grateful. I was hired. That was my
so
first
once you got, so you waited for the application. Once you got the physical application, did you fill it out there, give it back, and like
you had to go home and fill. So what you do is you fill it out in triplicate. Basically, what you do is you back then typewriters.
Yeah.
There's no
Oh
you
my
screw
God.
up your application. What are you gonna do?
Oh, you
White
better
out?
do it right. Yeah.
So you make copies.
Okay.
And I suggest do your application when you do it physically. And we made multiple copies to make sure you got everything spelled right,
Perfect,
punctuation. Yeah. Okay, this is perfect. Then you do the application.
Okay.
But the reality is nowadays, everything you can just cut and paste.
So after you did that and you turned everything in, like, once you got accepted, did you have to go through an interview process?
Oh, that's just the beginning. So the interview process is like step 3. Step 1 is showing up for the test.
Doing the
because
test, yeah.
I'll give you an example. My friends I just spoke with recently, just like, hey, I retired 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is the same thing still going on? He goes, oh, absolutely. The same thing as this. Easily 30, 40% of the people that took an application or turned one in don't even show up for the written test.
Okay.
So if a lot of people that are out there, if they want to be a firefighter, they know somebody wants to be a firefighter, don't be discouraged if you see 5,000 applicants.
Yeah.
Of the 5,000 applicants, it's easy to point and click and apply.
Yeah.
The harder part is, do you have
Follow through?
Yeah. Are you going to show up?
Yeah.
So some guys may show up for the written test. So you have 70% show up to the written, 25, 30% didn't practice for the written. So they'll fail. So there's 50% already gone.
Yeah.
Of the 50% that pass the written, that make it to the oral interview, another 25% won't even show up for the oral interview. They were trying to hand you a job and they won't even show up. So I try to encourage people, like, be the person that pushes a little harder, persevere, work, do more than the norm, and you'll stand out in the crowd, no matter what occupation you're going to choose. But if you want to be a firefighter, just show up and have your shit together. Because
now, from what I remember, talking with a friend of mine, and now this is maybe 15 years ago, I think, something like that, 15, maybe 20 years ago. I know I was out of high school, so I'm dating myself, but that was a long time ago. But anyways, I remember that they said that there's like a 7-year waiting period right now to get into the fire department, unless you are like military that got out of the military, or some your family is in the fire department or something like that. I know that there's special circumstances like that, but for a random dude, I mean, back then we're talking about, back then you had to wait in line, you had to go through the process. But nowadays, is there like a massive waiting period? Is there like something, maybe you need to be a paramedic first and then go into this? Or do you, getting out of the military, getting into it? Or do you have to, is there a waiting list to jump onto? And
well, I mean, there is times where departments wouldn't hire for a period of time. So there would be delaying their hiring process. But in the last several years, there's been a lot of guys retiring, and the fire departments need to continue to fill the ranks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is, the opportunities are out there, and there's different times where there's budget cuts and there's no hiring for a while. But right now there's hiring going on with multiple departments. So if somebody was really interested, you apply and you go through the process, and there is several hoops to go through. Like I said, the written exam, the oral interview. If you nail the oral interview, then you have to go through a background check. Okay. The background check is what knocks a lot of people out.
Really?
2 things do: the background and the oral interview. Because in an oral interview, you have 10 to 15 minutes, maybe, to get enough points across to prove to that in those 3
to be able to communicate,
to communicate to the panel and say, that's our guy, or that's our gal, that's our person. Because if I have to be with that person for 2 whole weeks straight, 24/7, can I
count on them?
Can I count on them? Can we get along? Are they the kind of person who's willing to learn? So there's a lot of factors in that. But the reality is, most firefighters, we try to hire people who are compassionate, who are caring, who are dedicated, who have shown. You don't have to have a firefighter background. You said, being a paramedic. If you have a paramedic certificate, big help because now the department doesn't have to send you to school. So, and a lot of departments, here's the disclaimer, most smaller departments, if you want to get hired, they already require you to have your paramedic license because they need paramedics. It's just the way of life. And they would rather hire a paramedic than send you to paramedic school. But the larger departments like LA County, Long Beach, Glendale, Huntington Beach, Burbank, Pasadena, LA City, Anaheim, Orange County Fire Authority, they will all send you, if you get hired with a large department, they would send you to paramedic school once you're hired. But smaller departments, they would rather hire they might
someone
say
who has,
you have to have a paramedic license.
Okay.
But most departments now, if you want to get hired, if you can fog a mirror,
good to go.
Good. Driver's license and an EMT license. That's usually the minimum requirements. EMT license, you have to pass a physical agility test. You get like a certificate for CPAT, they call it. Physical agility test of California. If you pass it, it's good for 6 months. And so you have to show that you're physically.
And do you have to maintain that?
Yeah, it expires because, we all can get out of shape in a quick period of time.
You're telling me, bro.
And firefighting
3 months into COVID, I was like, what?
Yeah, it's a young person. It's a young person's job. I mean, it's physically a demanding, challenging job. You wear 40, 50 pounds worth of gear when you go into a structure fire.
Oh, my God.
And ladders are heavy. Equipment's heavy, and you're doing physical, strenuous work. So you want to make sure that they physically and mentally can handle the job. So there's a lot going on.
Okay. Wow. All right. And ladies and gentlemen at home, if you have any questions about the hiring process or anything to do with the fire department, especially when it comes to here locally in Southern California, I know I've got a lot of listeners all over the place, which is great. I'm actually kind of curious if you are a firefighter or know somebody or your significant other is a firefighter in another state or another country. Really, I'm actually really curious your take on a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. So please chime in.
That'd be great.
I love it.
I'd love to hear that too. And as firefighters, I've traveled. I do a lot of traveling. Yeah, I've been very fortunate that way. And the stories I speak of, or my experiences, are my unique experiences. But all firefighters have similar stories. We're all cut from the same cloth. I'm no different than a lot of the other guys. And most guys, we're just humbled to do what we do, and we're grateful. But I see firefighters in other parts of the world, and they're the same type of person, which is a trip. In Hong Kong, Spain, wherever I've been, they have the same type of lifestyle. It draws a certain kind of person.
We were going to touch on this later, but I think it's important to jump into this right now. My good friend Boris, he sends a comment today. He says, "Rest in peace, the firefighters who got shot today. Very sad. One of the most honorable professions there is. Condolences to his family and the fellow firefighters." I actually didn't know about this until just getting chills right now. I didn't know about this until Carlos showed up tonight, and we talked just briefly about it tonight. And it's very unfortunate. So absolutely,
thank you, Boris. Thanks for those kind words. And it's very sad, very tragic, and it's unfortunate. So,
but to move on to a nicer comment right here, we have Francis saying he's cute.
Yeah, full disclosure, that's my wife. So I love you. Thank you. I told you,
Francis. I would have to agree. I'm sitting right across from him, and he is gorgeous. So, here's a good question from Boris. He says, "How old is too old to apply for the fire department? Is there a limit?"
No, you know what? We can't ask that question because I did interview boards for 15 years or even longer as a firefighter. I did them as well. But one of the questions you can't ask is somebody's age. It's
really?
It's just not, you can't do that. It's just not something.
So there's no age discrimination?
You cannot discriminate. Oh, no.
There's no cap? Because I know that if you want to go out for the Marines, I know that this is very different when we're talking about, military, but military, if I'm not mistaken, if you're over 35 or 30 or something like that,
they might have one.
There's a cap.
I was never in the military, and I'm wearing a shirt that in military's code of 9-line, which is when there's a medical emergency, like a medevac emergency in the battlefield. 9-line is what they call out to send the helicopter to airship those guys out. And my props to the military guys, especially we just had Memorial Day. But
absolutely.
And to answer Boris's question, it's not it's not how old you are. And trusted me, I've been in interviews where we hired kids that were 18.
Yeah.
But I also hired guys who were 33, 34 or more or older, because experience means something.
Absolutely.
The fact that, you've had careers.
I feel like Dumb and Dumber. Like, so you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. There is, but you have to have your own reality. I mean, what kind of shape are you in? If you're 42 and you're out of shape, you need to be shape, because
why you got to throw my business out there?
Did I throw you out there?
I'm 42. I'm out of shape.
I was thinking out loud. I'm sorry. I apologize, man. Skull. I was thinking out loud. Sorry, folks. But the truth is that if you can physically do the job, and if you can convince the interview panel, like, give me the frickin' shot.
I'm the guy for this.
I'm your guy. And
yes.
Here's why. I've got 10 years experience in this occupation, that occupation. That means a lot. But you have to physically get past the fire academy.
Yeah.
That's all on you. So age doesn't matter, but throwing a 175-pound ladder with another person, that's when your age matters.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I retired at 54 years old, and for most professions, people, that's a young age. But for being a fire captain on a ladder truck where you're throwing ladders and your guys are going to rooftops and you're cutting holes with burning buildings underneath you, you got 40, 50 pounds worth of gear, and you just woke up 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing too, is the mental aspect of it.
Yeah. I can't be 65 going, hang on, let me put on some, salon pass before I get up and go to this fire. So it is a young man's job. So there's no age bars, but
Marlene says, my dream was to be a firefighter. Honestly, sadly did not make it, but I would have been a hell of a bombera.
Bombera.
I'm sorry.
Bombera.
I'm the white guy.
Yeah, the white guy.
The white guy.
Spanish lesson.
Did you hear me? I said bombera.
I know.
Like that's what I said. Sorry, babe.
Like saying taco.
My love and respect to the fire department. But then her next one is no age. I can still do this.
Yes.
And you know what? My wife is in great shape.
Well, your wife is a badass. I mean, here's the thing. Firefighters, it doesn't matter age, like Boris asked. Gender, it doesn't matter.
You can go out and do it.
It's like, just do it. If you want to do it, do it. Prove to us that you have what it takes to do the job. Nothing else matters. Because when your life's on the line, like as a supervisor, I had to evaluate a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you're trying to evaluate people on how they work under stressful situations.
Oh, geez.
So if you can't work under stressful situations and think clearly in the middle of the night or in a dark, smoky environment, in an unknown environment where it's hot, 300 degrees or more, and you're trying to find your way around, I want the person that can think clearly and just focus. Like,
well, there's physical aspects to it,
like we talked
about, but there's mental aspects to the whole thing as well.
There's a lot to it. I mean, that's what I meant. When you say mental aspect, I mean, the reality is, things happen that you have to focus and just deal with, and it can make or break you. And a lot of times, like I said, when you're trying to evaluate people, you're not looking at their gender. You're not looking at their size. If they looked at my size, I'm 5'6" on a good day, right?
And that's if you're wearing creepers.
Creepers and my hair's gelled up. I was like, I got another half. Back in the day, they wouldn't hire a guy my size because I was too short.
Yeah.
But if you were fat, you were okay as long as you're 6'2". But it didn't matter. But now it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't matter. You can do the job or you can't, and that's what it comes down to.
My dad, I love it. He jumps in. He says, "See, Whit, it wasn't me throwing your business out there," because my dad, he's a professional at throwing my business out there. He's really good. I appreciate it. Dad.
Well, I love your dad because he put you guys through your in-house fire drills, which we used to tell people all the time. Hey, look, there's a fire in your house. What are you going to do? What are your kids going to do? And your dad, by making you guys go outside.
I know Dad's watching, and this is really cool because Carlos came out early and we were talking a lot about some of the previous podcasts that we did. And we talked a lot about the podcast that I did with my friend Kelly Hubbard, who is the director of emergency response for the city of Santa Barbara.
She did a great job, by the way.
She did. And she's amazing, and she knows so much. I'm blessed to know her. And, but in that podcast, we talked a lot about how Dad would literally, I remember being a kid and it wasn't just like, all right, kids, this is where we're going to go. We would literally climb out the window. We would make the whole family climb out the window. This is what you're going to do. We're going to go next door and we're going to knock on the door. And maybe it was a generational thing because back then, this is, I'm saying like early 80s, mid 80s.
Yeah.
And Dad made us do that. Mom and Dad made us do that. And I remember that. And I think that, I mean, gratefully, we never had to deal with any problems.
Good.
But if we did, I already know what it feels like to climb out of the window.
Yeah.
I mean, I already knew because I was sneaking out of my house when I was 6. So
sorry, Pops. We just let that out. but no, man, that's true. I mean, but the reality is it's like muscle memory. It's like playing an instrument, or it's like anything you do. If you want to be good at it, if you want to wake up at 3 a.m. with the alarms going off and what are you supposed to do next? If you've already trained yourself how to climb out a window, you're not rubbing your eyes trying to figure out how to get out a window. You just go into autopilot.
Yeah.
And that's what people should do. I mean, tragically, I had an aunt, 2 cousins that died in a fire. And, when I was 1 or 2 years old, I was young, but they didn't have a smoke alarm. They didn't have an exit plan. So my aunt went outside. Kids were still inside. She came back in. Mm-hmm. By the time she went to the kids' bedroom, the twins and her were trapped.
Oh,
they couldn't get out. So tragically, they all died. But that happens all the time. You just don't hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
But the reality is your dad did a good thing for you guys, dude.
Yeah,
he was looking after you for your safety. It's good for you. Props on your dad, man.
Yeah. Skull.
Yes. Exit drills in the home.
Yeah. See, Dad, I'm throwing your business out there.
Yeah. There you go, Pops.
All right. We got, let's see. We got a few more. Boris is jumping in on this. I like it.
Okay.
Boris, what is this one that you're saying? So Boris says, do firefighters get training on how to protect themselves in a situation where there's an active shooter? That's interesting. Actually, I think I would want to say that's probably a fairly new aspect to training. Is that something that happens within firefighters as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, the incidents in Colorado and Sandy Hook and places like that, firefighters and police officers, we work together, all public servants.
Yeah.
And so in situations like that, when you have massive casualties and you have a dangerous situation going on, police and fire have to work together because they've learned that it can't be all law enforcement.
Yeah. No, we got to work together.
We need them. But if people are bleeding and you can save them, then you need to train firefighters to go in with police officers with body armor. And a lot of times we're trying to talk to people that we wear body armor, but firefighters in certain situations will wear body armor for our own protection.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we should, because we want to go home. So we would train together, all departments, work with police and fire to extract patients, at the same time continue looking for the active shooters. So in those situations, we do train a lot. Every year, police and fire departments, we all get together and practice what we would do in different scenarios. So it's unfortunately, it's a common, I mean, we can talk about just in the last week, how many mass shootings have happened. It's a horrible situation,
it's unfortunate.
But the reality is it's reality.
Yeah.
And people expect their public servants to have their shit together. And I do too. We all firefighters.
Well, do you think that's why? I would say that's why police departments and fire departments and pretty much any department, even schools, are really taking extra precautions now and extra training for everyone who's there: teachers, firefighters, policemen.
Absolutely, it's a team effort.
We have to evolve with what's happening. So
it's sad. It's sad that society has gotten to this point, but it's a reality, because if the more people are aware, more people are savvy, the more people quickly catch on that there's a problem going on, and they focus on what to do to protect themselves, whether it's hiding under a desk or, finding cover. Everybody has to be thinking a little quicker. It's like, you can't just go like before 9/11, nobody thought about, well, what's somebody going to do on a plane? Nowadays, somebody gets up out of the plane when they're not supposed to. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm bringing him down.
That sucks that it takes that horrific event to change everyone's thinking. I mean, it just fucking sucks.
I mean, you don't want to. I don't like the second,
but you don't want it to happen again.
No,
so
and I don't want to Monday morning quarterback anybody's
Absolutely.
decisions, obviously, because it's their moment, it's in their time, and based on their life experiences, they did what they thought was best. But in hindsight, we always, in fire departments, we do this all the time, and police departments as well. When there's an significant incident, we always go back and try to, okay, what do we do wrong? What do we do right? What do we need to change the next time? So you're always trying to improve. And you, as everybody tries, you want to be better at what you do. If you make a mistake, you don't want to make it again.
No.
Even
though depending on how much alcohol I have.
That's a factor, right?
But that's because I'm on stage. So
yes, exactly. But
maybe I hit an A instead of a B.
It's part of the job.
Yeah.
Things happen, but going back to, training and everything else, is that we all have to train. Kids have to train on what to do. You want your kids, if you have kids, you want your kid to be able to think independently without you being there telling them exactly what to do, because you want them to survive an incident. And that's sad, but it's true. It's happening way too often. So
we got my very good friend Edgar Namrock from the Ed Namrock podcast jumping in, and I love this because he actually asked a very similar question to my friend Kelly, and I know you gotta you're on this, bro. You're on this topic of California completely burning like fucking hell. But so he says, Carlos, can a fire with all the right elements toast almost all of California?
I would say no.
No? No. Okay. I think Kelly said roughly the same thing. But what she did say was, and agree or disagree or elaborate on it, what she did say was, if there's multiple fires or if there's multiple disasters in areas at the same time, that I'd have to go back and listen to the podcast again. But from what she was saying, or from what I remember, it was like sometimes we don't have enough resources to allocate to all of them at the same time. So that's what would add to it. It's not just one fire doing everything and blowing everything up. It's if there's a multitude of little ones, that could be absolutely disastrous.
Yes. And to answer your question as well, is that I can never say never.
Yeah, for sure.
The perfect storm would have to be that the entire state would be preheated for a couple of days, and it's
ready to go.
It's not ready to go. And the wind's all blowing in directions where the heat just continues to, a lot of times the brush fires, Santa Ana wind fires that we have, they go out when the wind stops.
Yeah.
So you can have a significant wind event. And if there's been conflagrations that have really burned hundreds and hundreds of millions of acres in other parts of the United States. But in those places is because there's so much fuel. So what the fact that California has a lot of areas where there's sprawling suburban areas, you can start painting ridges with planes and helicopters far in advance of the fire. So there's strategically, you can place units in the right locations. There's a lot of smart fire guys. There's a lot of people, talented individuals. I know when you had Kelly on, she spoke about, the Emergency Operations Center and how departments work together between the state, the federal government, the state firefighters, the federal firefighters, municipal departments. Everybody works. When there's a natural disaster, everybody comes together under an incident command system. And depending on how big the incident gets, eventually you have the federal government that takes over, because local government can't take care of it. The local small government can't take care of 3,000, 4,000 firefighters and feed them every night and every morning. But they need to be fed if they're going to be fighting fires. So the reality is, all those systems coming together, when all those teams, the FEMA teams come together, they come up with a plan on ways to control the fire. And there's a lot of really smart and aggressive people that know what they're doing, a lot of experience. So fires do go out. It would be very difficult to have the whole state go up. I don't see it. I have faith in my fire buddies.
Yeah,
they're doing the job.
Well, here's I'm checking out the comments as we go. It's such a difficult job to be here and produce this, read the comments, stay engaged, and drink beer. I think
when are we going to jump?
Listen, bottom line is the drinking beer. That's probably the most important, I would think. And but my friend Alex,
that's why I'm here.
And Alex, every time we see Alex, you got to flex.
Yeah, flex out.
Good times.
Let's see.
All right. Yeah.
They get a camera here.
Alex.
Fire's that way.
Fire's this way.
Yeah, no, I thought it was over there. Back
he
there.
Says, and this is, I'm kind of curious your take on this. It says, could a giant percussion type explosion being set off inside a major fire, quote unquote, snuff the oxygen out? Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Well, yes, exactly. So like back in the old days, those big oil rig fires, like there's a famous fire guy that used to put fires out, Red Adair. And him and his teams would go out in Texas. They have these big oil well fires just blazing because they'd get out of control. So the only way to put out those big fires is they would freaking dynamite. They'd go to the hole and go boom. And if you blow it up and you disperse all the oxygen,
then it
it
turns
goes
off.
out because oxygen is what, if you look at the chemistry of fire, oxygen is a big factor.
So
yeah, you can't.
Are you thinking that
blow the shit up and
blow the shit up and it's done?
Yeah. John Wayne made it. John Wayne made a movie. Yeah. Bad John Wayne impersonation, but he made a movie where he was played Red Adair. But yeah, blow it up and it goes out.
All right.
But nowadays, most municipal fire departments don't play with dynamite.
Yeah. All right. We're
okay.
ADD. We're getting way off topic, which is good. But I have, okay. You know what? Should I skip this one? Okay. Can we do this real quick? The tips. Let's do this real quick. So next topic that I wanted to talk about, which we're literally like 20 minutes over, but first, this topic will go real quick. I wanted to do some quick tips for your home. Because like we were talking about, my parents back in the 80s, we did like a fire escape, type of thing. And I know just earlier we were talking about like hoarding, and we were talking about unfit or unsafe elements in your apartment or your home. I guess to keep this short and sweet, what would be your number two, your top two tips for anybody who's at home to be safer when it comes to fire preparedness? I guess that's a word or a phrase.
Yeah, fire safety.
Yeah, fire safety.
Either one. I mean, you can use both, they're interchangeable. But I would say number one is a smoke detector.
Smoke detector.
As much as you're cooking chalupas and it starts going off, it's kind of annoying at times. And I tell people, look, don't undo the battery. Don't undo it. Because
I need to go put mine back in.
Right? Quit. I'm gonna check before I leave. I'll do a fire section.
Serious. Literally asked Marlene just the other day. I took I don't know why, but I just felt like taking a scalding hot shower, and my muscles were messed up, and I just really so I left that hot shower and I left the door to the bathroom open. And as I'm in the shower, the smoke alarm is going off because, and even my wife comes in, she's like, "What the fuck? Like, why does it have to be so goddamn hot?" Like,
it's my therapy.
And I'm in the shower and I can't turn it off, and she can't reach it, so she had to run and fight. Like, it was just, it was frustrating. But that's why people unplug it, because you have an incident like that. You're taking, I get it. I unplugged it.
Therapeutic shower. You unplugged it, right? But what happens when you go to bed that night? You live in an apartment.
And something happens.
Okay, maybe not you. Maybe your neighbor. Maybe your neighbor's cooking stuff. Maybe your neighbor's a hoarder. Maybe your neighbor has stuff that you could be a meth lab next to. You don't know how many meth labs. Firefighters go on meth labs with police departments on a regular basis.
Wow.
And, you don't get a permit to do meth. You just do it. Mm-hmm. And so people, sometimes they wing it with YouTube videos and everything else, and they screw up. So if your neighbor's cooking meth at 3 a.m. and you're sleeping, and they're below you.
Yeah.
Now the smoke's coming into your unit and you're asleep. Maybe you had a few too many drinks that night. Mm-hmm. Steel Rod played an extra session. That's a whole other story. But the reality is that smoke detector is going to wake you up. So what if during the shower it went off? Your neighbor's at 6 p.m., whatever. So what? But at 3 a.m., you want that thing to wake you up and get you out. Just like your dad said, get out of the house, get a meeting point, call the fire department. Because that's the one thing. Okay, so that's the smoke detector. So first tip, make sure your smoke detectors are going. I know it's a pain in the ass. Trust me. I know. It's a pain in the ass when it goes off and it scares the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Okay, but you'll get over that. Yeah. But the day you're asleep
and it doesn't go off.
Your ass is on fire like my cousins and my aunt.
You want that to go off.
You want that thing to go off and get you out.
Yeah.
And don't come back in the house. Just stay out.
Yeah.
The second thing, that's from the top two, would be an extinguisher. Because if you have a small fire, you can put it out and save your TV, save all your furniture if you don't have insurance, or even if you do have insurance, still a pain in the ass to replace everything. But if you have an extinguisher close by, you can hopefully put out a small fire before it takes off.
Gosh, I'm so
that's it. Other than that, don't get any more.
I took it down, and I don't have an extinguisher.
Strike two. No, don't strike.
2 strikes. Okay, it's going down.
Bases are loaded.
All right,
you can hit out of the park. I should have brought you an extinguisher.
No. I need to go get one. Actually, one thing that I learned from Kelly is having a flashlight and a few things, emergency preparedness stuff. Yeah. And now I'm learning that I need to have a fire extinguisher. So,
like I said,
and there's small things that anybody can do.
Exactly. But let's say the fire started in your unit and you could have stopped it before it burnt down 4 units and you lost all your stuff that you pay for. And, You don't have to replace
sure.
it off. See,
Yeah.
a little fire, but that's it. Other than that, yeah, it's all
Okay.
good. Anything bigger than that, call us. We'll take care of it.
And backtracking just a little bit, Boris says, back when I used to work at the oil rigs, it was always amazing to watch firefighters extinguish fire with explosives. Crazy, literally fighting fire with fire.
Yeah. It's chemistry at its finest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Okay, let's jump into interesting moments. Now, I reached out to you earlier today. I told you to send me some photos because I had questions about maybe some of your scariest moments or some, I'm sure with an over 30-year career as a firefighter, you have plenty of stories and experiences and stuff. So, you sent me some photos and I wanted to just quickly go over. We have maybe 4 or 5 photos that I wanted you to talk about. So this first one right here, this is a picture of you. For those of you that are listening, this is a picture of you. It's the back cover of Time magazine, and you're on the back cover, and it says Target Bin Laden on the front cover. Now, tell me about this picture. What is this?
Well, unfortunately, everybody knows the events of 9/11.
Yeah.
What happened. Prior to that, I did a little modeling gig, and I was going to do some modeling for an advertising agency. 9/11 happens, and they wanted a firefighter on the cover. Just so happened that that's when they finally figured out that Bin Laden is their number one suspect.
Oh, shit. So
that was like October, right after September 11th. But they figured out, so Time magazine went ahead and put him on the cover. They put me on the back cover.
But was there a story about you, or they just needed a firefighter? And they're like, oh, we got a picture of this dude.
Obviously 343 of my brothers perished in a matter of a blink of an eye, basically. So they wanted to honor our service. And obviously a lot of the people sacrificed and a lot of the people died as well in the fire, but they wanted to honor firefighters. And they just happened to have my stock photo.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up on the back cover. I actually saw it. I was on a plane coming back from Europe, and the flight attendant handed me the magazine. I looked on the back. I was like,
and you were on but you didn't even know?
I didn't even know they were going to put it out there. I was coming back from Europe.
Oh my gosh.
But, interesting thing with New York. I mean, one of my coworkers, his cousin was on ladder 3, and his helmet and fire truck are hanging in the museum of 9/11 Memorial. So if you ever go to the memorial, Patty Brown, who's an infamous New York firefighter, was related to one of the guys I worked with.
That's one thing I need to get. To be honest, I've always wanted to go. I've never been to New York.
You'd love it.
I've never been.
Great.
Never
even.
Great
city.
I really feel like I need to take 5 days and just me and the wife. I want to be the tourist. I want to be the guy that sees everything.
I highly recommend it. It's a really great experience to go back. I say yes. I say go back in history, because you're going back to U.S. history, where New York was around way before California, is what we know it now. Thank you.
Yeah.
But 9/11, we went back for some funerals. So my buddy's cousin died, and they hadn't found his body. The towers are still smoldering. Smoke. The buildings are still on fire down below, ground zero. And we went to his funeral. So thousands of firefighters from all over the world are there. And we ended up at a funeral as well for another firefighter who was in the pipes and drums band of the New York Fire Department's pipes and drums. Because pipes and drums, the history of the fire service, you always see bagpipers playing at funerals or special events. And so there's just a lot of history behind it. So in New York, there's several hundred firefighters who are active in this pipes and drums band. Same with the NYPD, Port Authority. They all have their band. Maybe in total don't quote me on this, but about 400 guys at least. And only one member of the fire department's pipes and drums band died, and his name was Bronco. And he was a drummer. He was a percussionist guy.
Okay.
So the day of his funeral, the entire FDNY and NYPD said, if you want us to honor your fallen firefighter want this to play, we're not going to be available. We'll be at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Yeah. Playing for one of our brothers. Yeah. Or one of our drummers.
Wow. Everyone.
That's all. The entire FDNY, NYPD, and Port Authority bagpipe guys are lined up on Fifth Avenue. If you know New York, Fifth Avenue is like it's on every major movie back in the day, right? So we come down from our hotel room. We're disheveled. We'd been out the night before because we've been through the situation. 2 days of funerals.
Yeah.
This is day 3, and it's
holy shit.
and I did 5 funerals in 4 days. My wife and friends were all with us. Emotionally, we were drained.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't even physically, I didn't know any of these guys. I just knew that we were a brotherhood, but the emotional connection we all have as a brotherhood, firefighters. There's firefighters that are from Brussels, from Germany, from Australia. Yeah. We were all there to support them because the New York guys were just getting beat up every day, going funeral after funeral after funeral. And they were thanking us for being there because they couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
So this funeral for this guy, Bronco, the street's quiet. Everyone's at attention. Not a sound. And you hear this one drummer goes, krah, krah, krah. And they start their solemn parade. And the sound of all of those over 200 drummers, percussionists, and bagpipers. And it was the sound, it made your hair stand. It makes my hair stand up now just thinking about it.
I'm feeling it right now too.
But that day was an immense day for the FDNY, for everybody in the fire service. Yeah. Everybody, everybody was suffering. America was trying to heal from it. Yeah. So that was a really a big event for us, and it was something I'll never forget. It brought all the musicians together, and it was an unbelievable feeling to be a part of it. So my hat's off to the families, the sacrifice those guys made. So a lot of firefighters are sacrificed. And there's another picture I have you of other guys that have passed away as well. Let's show that.
Wow, let's go to this one right here.
Okay.
This is a picture. If you can't see, you sent me a huge file of a lot of different photos, and looking at a lot of them, one thing that jumped out about this photo, because it's you're next to a fire truck and there's 3 other gentlemen. And it looks like they're carrying some equipment and stuff like that. It looks like you guys are all fully dressed. And to me, this just screams leadership. And one thing I wanted to ask you about was your leadership role in the fire department as you progressed through the ranks. You retired as a captain. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that comes with a lot of leadership qualities at that rank. You have a lot of people that are depending on you, a lot of people that are depending on you to guide them and lead them in the direction that they're going. And to me, this picture really just screams that. Tell us a little bit about this, and tell us a little bit about your experiences as a leader.
Well, thank you for saying that. And this does look like a leadership role because I'm pointing at guys and telling them what to do, but that's part of being a leader. You have to make decisions. You have to, you're arriving on scene of a lot of incidents. And this one particular photo, there was already a team there that arrived first, and their assessment was that in order to get these patients out that are trapped in a vehicle, we're going to need the jaws of life. And when you arrive on scene, bring your tools.
Yeah.
So we practice and we know what to do. And my guys are well-versed and all professional guys. That I trust my guys wholeheartedly. And I'm just trying to give them a little direction on our approach and what we're going to do. And then I let them do their job. Mm-hmm. So as a good leader, you have to have confidence in the people that you work with.
Yeah.
To give them an assignment and let them do it. Because I always used to say, it's easy to be a supervisor because you have a title. Mm-hmm. It's harder to be a leader. So your title doesn't make you a leader.
Yeah.
To be a leader, you have to be a person, even from the beginning when you become a firefighter or any profession. If you want to be a leader, you have to be the person that leads by example. So if you're willing to work hard, you're willing to put in the time, the people around you are going to say, shit, he's putting in the time. What am I doing? Mm-hmm. So you lead by example, and then you see the people around you and you see how good they are, and you have confidence in them because you're going to pull this off. So you give them the ability to grow and learn. And in that picture, there was a new firefighter. The guy in the front, he's brand new. I want that brand new guy to be in the lead because it shows me that he's not afraid to do his job. He's confident in his abilities, and he wants to prove himself. He was on probation. But that's who I was giving direction to. It's like, get to the front door. We're mm-hmm. taking the passenger or the driver off. Or you make assessments of how you want to get to the.
So you're not only in as a captain, after you've climbed the ranks, you're not only being a leader behind the scenes and, because you were also doing communication. You were also you had a lot of different roles. You wore a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Not only just being a captain, but being the captain, you wore a lot of hats. So you're obviously you're giving direction while you're on the scene. You're giving direction while you're off the scene. So would you say that like leadership is just something that is encompasses that position?
Yes, it does. Because like you were seeing in that picture, it's easy to be a leader when there's a problem.
Yeah.
When there's a fire, when there's a rescue. Hey, do this,
do that.
That's
Yeah.
easy leadership because the guys are trained to, they want to do that. The harder time to be a leader is when it's 3 a.m, the fire's out, there's soot and ash and ruined carpet in somebody's apartment. And you tell your guys, hey, you know what? These people had the worst day of their fucking life.
Yeah.
Why don't we clean it up a little bit and make it just a little bit nicer? I know it's 3 a.m, but I'm going to be the first guy to grab a shovel or a squeegee and clean this up. And we would do that. So I had a guy that was a military phenom. I mean, a brilliant guy, flew helicopters in the military. He said, Cap, when you retired, he said, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but just a story to go with an example is that he said, you're the best leader I've ever had. Well, how could that be? He said, you had military leaders, you had colonels, you had generals. I go, how me, an uneducated, a fireman, fire captain, how am I the best leader? He says, because you always did the right thing, even when it wasn't the popular thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's probably one of the greatest qualities of a good leader. So, I mean,
yeah. And so, like I said,
and when you think about it in the compound effect, look at the effect that you have taken in your 30-year career. Your example that you lead by, how that has compounded to the rest of the guys who, in 10 years, they're the leaders.
Yes. And I want to mentor the guys. And, no one's perfect. And obviously I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. Everybody does. Everybody makes mistakes. You've hit a wrong chord once in a while.
Like once or twice. Only once.
Once. Yeah. But you had a good excuse. But the reality is that you want to provide the future generation of firefighters the direction to be a good leader. Because as public servants, when I swore to be a protector of the community of Glendale, I took it serious. Mm-hmm. You could lose your life. Being a firefighter is, we have a great pension, obviously, because there's a lot of risks we take. And I'm not embarrassed to say, that I'm grateful for the way things turned out for me. I had no idea there was a pension involved. I just wanted to help people. Yeah. It just worked out. But the reality is, it's a dangerous occupation. I went to a lot of funerals in my career. Yeah. I went to a lot of funerals. And there's something to be said for that. Who's willing to risk their life? I used to tell people, kids would say to me in those, school auditoriums, career day, how much money do you make? I go, it doesn't matter.
It's not about the money.
It's not about the money.
Yeah.
I say, when your ass is on fire and you're in a house and you can't find your way out,
you're not thinking
about your checking account. It's survival. So I used to tell people the reality is you can die doing this job. And and I think that's why a lot of people respect the professions that risk their lives, military guys, police officers in many situations. But the reality is, it's like, in the end, that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's not in you. It's not in you.
All right.
But if it's in you, it is.
So to lighten the mood real quick, I got to pull up this picture.
Please do. I can talk.
This is amazing. Okay. So for
Weed Factory.
So for anybody who is listening, this is a picture of Carlos and he's holding up 2 giant trash bags full of weed and
skunk weed.
It's funny because he texted me this picture and I said, so you're bringing that tonight, right? So
yeah, I smoked one bag on the way down here.
Like, so you're bringing that. Is that like, we get to leave that here? I was super excited, but then you mentioned that this was, this was obviously before weed was legal, but
legal.
Quote unquote legal. But
it's all good.
But so back then, if I'm not mistaken, this was up in like Humboldt County, right?
It was right next to Humboldt. It's like borderline with Shasta Trinity National Forest, and there were lightning strikes came through. And like earlier, the gentleman was asking about the whole state being on fire. It can seem that way in Northern California, where there's a lot of trees, a lot of old growth, and a lot of dead trees. So this fire came through, and we had our team alone. I was on a FEMA team. They handed us 8 fires, like, these 8 fires are yours. And one's burning in Humboldt. They're burning all around there. Some are thousands of acres. Some are a couple hundred acres, but they're all yours. And we're up there. holy shit, and I drove down. Don't ever trust GPS. If you think that Google's Maps going to get you somewhere safely, don't always believe Google, because I was on my way to this mega fires.
Oh my God.
To this complex of fires. And we're all driving because FEMA pulls people in from all different departments. So if you're qualified to go, if you're on a FEMA team or they call you up to go, a local fire department can send 2 or 3 guys up to a national forest fire.
Because so they made the call.
They made
you
the call.
Answered.
We need a Hispanic-speaking firefighter. No,
and everybody in the whole place just looked at you.
There's only like 3 of us in the state. Like, hola, yo soy aquí.
You're like, no, yo no Nintendo.
Yeah, yo hablo español. So Telemundo and Univision were really nice to me. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to this fire, and they said, hey, plan B. We're going to meet at this other place because, they changed the location for the team to meet. Because we're going to take over, assume major fires. So like, we need a team here now. So we were trying to meet up. So I'm driving down the road, looking at my map. Oh shit, how do I get there? So I hit Google Maps, and it took me down this highway. I go, okay, I'll just cut right over. Little did I know, you can't tell, 3 or 4 miles away that you're in a canyon, and you come out, and all of a sudden you're in a fire zone.
Oh shit!
So I'm driving down this road that turned from 2-lane asphalt, 1-lane asphalt, gravel,
dirt road.
Oh
shit!
And I'm in this middle of this freaking conflagration. I'm going, holy shit, I'm going to die right here. This guy drives like, what are you doing here? I go, I took this Google Maps route. He's like, don't do that.
You're like, didn't we teach you back in the 80s to use your fucking Thomas guide?
Exactly. You should have stuck to Thomas guide. Right? So yeah, don't follow Google Maps everywhere you go. But yeah, so when we got that fire, it was just a freaking disaster. And it's in the middle of weed country.
Oh shit.
So we're at these community meetings, and I don't pass judgment on anybody, but these people that had farms in the middle of the forest are going, hey, when are you guys going to stop this fire? And we're going, well, the next place we're going to try to stop it is 4 miles down the road, and we have a bulldozer line going there. But in the meantime, we're dropping ping pong balls of flames. Just we've stopped fire with fire.
Yeah.
They're like, you mean you're going to let all this area burn? We're like, yeah.
Why? What's in your backyard?
That's the problem. That's national forest. What are you talking about? And trust me, the cartel, everybody's out there. I mean, this is all public news, public knowledge.
Yeah.
If you watch Murder Mountain on Netflix,
you
know what happens
right.
out there. I mean, that Murder Mountain is like, we were driving around Murder Mountain.
Are you serious?
No, absolutely. I mean, we were at that whole area where the growers are. It's not a safe place to be, let alone throw a fire at it.
Yeah.
But if you're just hiking around the hills and you come across somebody's grove, they may not want you crossing
They might not want you walking around there.
Especially if you're wearing a badge. So we would like, oh shit, we're out here. The cops would go, come on, just let them open your gates, let them through. We know you're growing more than 25 plants. Let the fire guys do. It's like, and then, so that picture, we get back to camp. Mm-hmm. And so the sheriffs, we have this, we call them Dumb and Dumber, showed up to the checkpoint with about 40 pounds of weed, skunk weed. And they pull up the checkpoint going, when can we get through? And the cop's like,
never.
With that skunk weed, you're not going anywhere. So they confiscated the weed and they brought it back to our shop. We had this older gal working with us, and she's like, oh my God, there's a skunk outside. I'm going, I'm not sure about a skunk outside.
I don't know about a skunk.
I go, the weed's right here. I go, here's your skunk. And I was I was high for 2 weeks.
Are you serious?
No, I swear. On the job. Legally,
we saw that. There was this video of a firefighter, like I think it was in San Diego. I saw this video way back in the day on like Facebook or something like that, and it was this firefighter, and they were talking. And it was in San Diego, and they were talking about how this family had a bunch of weed plants in their house, and the firefighters came out, and then it says we're going to interview the firefighter, and the firefighter was so stoned, and he's like, there was so much smoke, and he just started, and he was uncontrollably laughing. It was the funniest shit I ever. So was that you?
That was me. I was in the media division, and I was trying to write a press release for that night. And so every day the winds would shift. So the winds would go one direction during the day, go up, lay down, then they come back the other way at night. Well, thousands of acres of pot are burning, and that smoke, I mean, you can't get away from it. We're in the smoke, right?
You're just breathing it.
So I'm breathing in, I'm going, how come I can't form a sentence? And you get writer's fog. I'm going, I just did write a press release.
You probably would have written like the greatest shit ever. Like if you,
oh my God. If I would have just stopped eating all the snacks. I mean, we were fucking snacking all these. I mean, they give you an 8,000 calorie lunch bag a day. And I'm eating all these snacks and everything. I'm going, how come I can't form a sentence? And my buddy turns around and goes, dude, we're high. to the point, I mean, for 10 days, we're in this skunk weed smoke. I loved it because I wasn't going to get in trouble. Our boss actually wrote us a letter saying, if anybody on our team tests positive for THC the next 10 days, he's fucking good because we lived in the shit, and it was scary because, I mean, you're driving down these roads and it's dangerous and you're working 16-hour days and you're high. But the good thing is you can eat 24/7. So that was a good side.
That was the
upside of it, right? And legally I got high. And my neck pain went away and I was good.
Yeah. And all these great side effects. It's just amazing. Like
I came up with great ideas.
All of a sudden, like I wrote a song.
Well, if I wrote a song, I would remember the words because I just don't remember the words of the song. But I can definitely
all these amazing, like my back pain went away.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly that.
You got Alberto, good friend here, chiming in. It's an honor to hear a guy like you. Thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Alberto. I appreciate that myself.
And Marlene,
I'm grateful.
If you want to be a firefighter, you can't think about the money. Your life is on the line every day. That's absolutely true.
Thank you, Marlene. That's a true statement. And that's why when people say, when I try to mentor people, because I always say you pay it forward. And whatever you do in life, like you can't teach, but you can show people. And if they can be inspired by the way you play your bass, whether it's a P bass or a jazz bass, I don't know what the hell a P bass is, but anyway, when you can inspire other people to be their best, and if it's a profession that they love, then
I think mentoring it doesn't have to be 100% hands-on. Like you don't have to be the dude showing them exactly what's up. There's a lot of times that's there's a time that we play at a place called Decades in Anaheim, and there's a family that comes out and because we play early on that day, they bring their kids, and I want to say their kids are around maybe, I think one of them's 5 or 6 and the other one's 10 or 12, something like that. And they're rocker kids. They're good kids.
Those are good parents.
Those are good parents and they're good kids.
I agree.
And man, it's so fun because I'm on stage rocking out and I'm looking at them and they're watching me. So I know that just being an example is being a mentor. Yeah. And when I take a break and when I walk off the stage and I walk over and I give them a high five and I show them the horns and I'm like, rock on. Hey, good job. Like that is mentoring in some degree.
Sometimes that's all it takes, Whit. I mean, I've
that positive.
Just the interaction, the feeling they get from you going, and that kid might say, I want to be on stage. Maybe they're the next freaking,
when they look at me and they're like, wow, I can be a 5-foot Viking and be successful too.
Yes. And have a beautiful wife and live a great life. But that's the truth. The reality is that you never know how you're going to influence people.
Yeah.
And everyone comes from a different path. And that's what I learned as a firefighter is that you can't judge anybody. I would go on homeless people and I would go on multimillionaires and famous people. My job was to try to treat everybody the same because everybody has their own story and I have to respect who they are.
Yeah. And they're going through
through their life.
If you've got a fire, doesn't matter if you're rich or if you're poor, you're going through a fire.
If you're having a heart attacks don't care. And I learned early on, you live for today. Like my buddy Neil says, today we live. And that's to me, like I said earlier, I started at 16 years old working in a hospital, seeing traumas, seeing a lot of death. And if I really put my head to it and try to figure out how many dead people or how many people I've seen pass away in front of me or show up to tragic incidents, it's thousands of people.
Yeah.
I've seen thousands and I'm not unique. Every firefighter can tell you they've seen a lot of people, but when you see that much death, you have to live for today. Because you can't change what happened yesterday and you're not going to be able to predict tomorrow.
No.
I saw too many people driving to work to get the job done that their life ended short, whether it was from a train hitting them, a T-bone accident, a heart attack, a fire, you name it. There's so many things that can stop you in your tracks. And I don't want to go down a dark path,
No.
but what I'm saying is just
But
enjoy your life.
It's beautiful what we were talking about right now, because even Boris chimes in on, and this is perfect. It says, firefighter department should be present in high schools to spark more of an interest on teenagers to join. Just a thought. And I know that you have done some outreach into high schools and junior highs and speaking and stuff like that. And we need more of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and it works because I mentored kids. And again, when you say mentor, I would maybe just give somebody some direction. And then 5 years later, they come back, hey, Captain Guerrero, I'm a fireman because of you.
Oh,
I said, no, you're a fireman because of you.
Yeah.
I may have helped you
steer you in the right direction.
You still got up out of bed and went.
You had to pass the test.
You
had to fill out the application.
You ran the hills.
Yeah.
You did all the grunt work. I may have just opened a door for you, but you have to be willing to go through that door. And I encourage anybody.
Last picture right here, because we're running way out of time right now. I hope everybody, if you're still watching, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Last picture right here, and we talked just briefly about this earlier.
All right.
So if you're listening, this is a picture of a young girl standing in a blow-up pool, like basically on her front lawn, and you have there's Carlos and 3 other firefighters that are standing back there posing for the picture. If you can explain a little bit about this, I love this story. Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. Well, in Glendale, the summer gets really hot. So this is about 105 degree day, right? You can't tell. But we get a call and we're driving out of the fire station. I look over to the house right on the corner. Our fire station is right next door.
Yeah.
And as we're pulling out of the station going to this call, I see this little girl trying to crawl into an igloo cooler. I go, what is she doing?
You mean like a
small, maybe like
something we would have in the backyard?
Yeah, you could put maybe a case of beer in or two, right? So he's trying to crawl in this thing, and I'm looking as I'm pushing buttons on the rig, and we're going to a call. And I looked at my fireman behind me. I said, "Did you see that little girl?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "That was kind of weird. What was she doing?" He goes, "I think she was trying to cool off."
Yeah.
I go, "She's trying to cool off in a cooler,
ice chest?" Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." I go, "All right. Remind me after we're done with this car, we're going to go to Target and buy her a pool."
Yeah.
And so my crew was like, "That's a great idea. Hey, Cap, can we pitch in?"
Oh, that's
absolutely. Fuck yeah. We're all pitching in.
Obviously, any one of you guys could afford a Target blow up pool for $20,
yes.
$25. Whatever.
Yes. But to me as a leader, it's like, if I can teach these guys how to be a little more compassionate,
engaging with the community.
Them, and if we all pitch in $5, we all feel better about it. So I could, pitch in. So we go to Target across the street. You can see the hydrant that's right behind that fireman. And so we went to Target.
God. Yeah.
There's a hydrant, right? You can see it's wet still. So we went to Target and I talked to the grandma because the grandma's babysitting. I go, "Hey, do you mind if we fill this pool for your granddaughter?" She goes, "Oh, she's going to love it." So my guys grab the hose. We stop traffic.
Okay. So
we fill it. So the water's dirty, but yes.
So you filled up the pool on the lawn, but you ran up like you're true fireman. You filled it up from the fire hydrant.
Yeah. We've turned into a drill. So we blocked the streets off like firemen do and make you go the other way. So we blocked the street off for about 3 minutes and we just filled this pool up in about 3 minutes. And then I told the grandmother, I go, "Call your granddaughter out."
Yeah.
And the granddaughter came out and she was just like, her eyes were like, and to me, I mean, what better way to give back to the community than to make a child happy?
Yeah.
She was so excited.
And you imagine the, change in perception, imagine at such a young age, they're very young children are very impressionable. Yeah, so absolutely. When people, like we were talking about earlier, anybody within a uniform, police, fire, military, anybody who's wearing a uniform like that it's sometimes to a young child is very intimidating.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you can instill on that young child a sense of service, a sense of safety.
Yeah. Somebody to go to.
That's beautiful.
Firehouses are safe programs. So if any kids are listening or if you have kids, tell your children, know where your local fire stations are. Because if you're in trouble and if you know there's a fire station close by, run to it. We're safe houses. We're there to help. We're there for people. That's beautiful. We've done that before. So anytime, like you were saying, when a child especially sees a person in a uniform, it can be very intimidating. You may not want to make the first approach. So I say as a firefighter or a police officer, you make the first contact and be proactive too, so that kids can feel safe around you. So
I got Boris is jumping in here.
all right.
Here we go. Please post a picture of Billy Tully.
Who's Bill Tully?
Fellow firefighter and musician.
Oh.
I think he said earlier that he was a drummer for a metal band that he passed away in 2017 from a fire in he was a firefighter in New York.
Oh,
you know what? I'll look into. I don't have any of those pictures handy right now, but you know what? Check my Instagram. I'll do my best, bro. You know me, bro. I'll jump onto it. We also have Marlene jumping in. Beautiful story. Giving and making someone smile is the best feeling in the world. I 100% agree. And I love the, when because you spoke a little bit about, firefighters and how much they make and pensions and stuff like that. And obviously you guys make great money, but obviously you take great risk. And so when we're talking about this story with the child that was just trying to cool off, and as you're going to a thing and it's you can lead by example, you can get the rest of your guys to chip in a little bit, and hey, it's $5 out of everybody's pocket to put something and make something happen. And who knows, like, I'm really big on the compound effect, on how not just what happens in this instance, but how this instance affects future generations. So she's going to grow up with a great feeling about the fire department. She's going to grow up with that. I think that if we had more of that in all aspects of life, if we had more people leading by example, if we had more people that did the right thing because it's the right thing to do, in politics, in government, in everyday life, in education, I think that there's maybe if we just kind of
just be nice,
be
nicer.
Let's focus on integrity a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Like how we used to. Back in the day.
Yeah, it meant something.
Yeah.
And in the fires, if you want to be a firefighter, that's one of the things to look for. A person who's compassionate, has integrity, has good moral judgment, uses common sense, is willing to share and help other people, because there's no greater joy than to give back to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion.
100.
This is from my perspective, because everyone's a little different, but I just think that, the reality of what a firefighter should be, or in my opinion, is a person who's willing to lay his life down for people.
Yeah.
And in the process, there's a lot of other things that you can do without giving your life up that can make a big impact on people's lives. And I know it from firsthand experience. There's a lot of stories. You only have so much time and people probably tune out, but I have a lot of stories of compassion that is just who I was. And I'm, like I said, a lot of firefighters are like me. And that's the kind of people that get drawn to that.
Yeah.
So if you're compassionate, you're caring, by all means, take the test. For me, it was the most rewarding experience of my life. And I'm humbled and I'm grateful and I'm living a great life. I was born with a horseshoe in my ass, but truly, I've always landed on the right side of the coin.
Yeah.
In everything in life, in finding a partner and a wife, career.
Well, I think a lot of that also has to do with your character.
Thank you.
You bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching or listening to this, Carlos is just a good human being. So, you can call it luck. You can call it falling on the right side of the coin, or you can call it having good character when the time is right. So,
well, thank you.
I would say that. And I wanted to jump in. We don't have time, but we'll have to do a Carlos Guerrero 2.0.
You think so? I'll tell the horror stories.
I want to talk more on the next podcast that we do. I want to talk more about your after retirement, because we didn't get a chance to talk. I know that you're a big surfer. Yo tambien. I love being in the water. I haven't been in for a minute and I miss it. And
it's very therapeutic.
It's absolutely, it feels very grounding, very connected to the earth. But I know that you just went surfing in Nicaragua and you're a huge surfer here in Redondo Beach and locally. And we'll have to talk about that on the next one.
Yeah. We can do that.
But you know what? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you to Carlos. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me that you took time out of your day and you came down, hung out with me at my house, drank a few beers, talked some stories, and hopefully the people that are watching learned something new.
Absolutely. And if anybody has any comments or they have any questions or if they know somebody that wants to be a firefighter, like I said, I'm always willing to pay it forward. Somebody can contact me at another time and I'm willing to give them the time of day and say, if you want to be a firefighter, here's the direction you want to take in, and let them go with it, you know.
So if you want to be a firefighter or if you know somebody who wants to be a firefighter, please reach out to the 5 Foot Viking. I will talk to the 5 Foot Firefighter.
What? Yes, absolutely.
And we'll get you on the right path. So with that being said, once again, I want to remind everyone to please check out the 5footviking.com. Also look tomorrow morning at the 5 Foot Viking Instagram for the promotion for the free giveaway. We're going to do a raffle for a 5 Foot Viking t-shirt. And that was probably be the first of many different raffles that I'm going to look at.
No, the first raffle is this one.
The first raffle's right here. This gentleman got the first one.
I love it. Thank you very much. I'm honored.
Absolutely. So, thank you for being here.
I love it.
And
thank you.
And yeah, so check out tomorrow morning on Instagram. And with that being said, I appreciate all of you guys. I will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. specific time and on Facebook and YouTube. And I think...
And I want to thank your viewers as well. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My pleasure.
And I think this is how you end it.